And we are live! Hello and welcome to our 10th episode of Vampire the Dark Ages, Isle of the Damned. I am your storyteller, your storyteller, Mark, aka the CatsMeow, and these are my lovely players, as we are going to run you through our Dark Ages tale on the Isle of Man, as we discover ancient mysteries and legends hidden beneath the ground and deep within the dark shadows of the abyss. With this, we will do some introductions as we go through our players. And this time, we are going to start with one of said abyssal creatures. Rebecca, why don't you introduce us to your new character?
Hello, I'm Rebecca, and I will be playing Sister Iris of Clan La Sombra.
Very nice. Up
Thank
next,
you.
we have one who descends from the Lord of Light himself, the ultimate tyrant over the sea of Britannia. One Sir Oliver. Drew, why don't you introduce yourself and your character?
Why would I introduce myself? You just did it for me. Hi, I'm Drew, and I'm playing Sir Oliver, and all those wonderful things Mark said about my character are absolutely true.
And next up, the dark and mysterious Prince of the City of Peel. One of the blood of the flesh crafters, a child of the dragon. Blue, why don't you introduce yourself and your character?
But it's actually me who's descended from the dragon, right? It's not my character. Just kidding, everybody. Hey, I'm Blue. I'm going to be playing Gwyneth of Clan Zamitsi, who is currently Prince of Peel. And we're hanging out in Douglas today. Thanks for joining us.
Very nice. Up next, the Beast of Beasts, a great hunter fallen from humane existence into a dark and empathyless monster that feasts upon the blood of innocents. Thomas, introduce us to your character.
Oh.
You say fallen, I say ascendant. But I am Thomas, and I play Randolph of Clan Gangrel. Current sheriff of Peel. I say current. I'm going to be sheriff forever.
Sure you
That's
are,
the
buddy.
spirit.
Hubris.
And last but certainly not least, a dark Valkyrie, not born from the north like much of her kind, but still as much a creature of vengeance and death and bloodshed. A creature that seeks to find the slain and punish the wicked. Mars, introduce us to your own character.
I will. Thank you for the description of me.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm Mars, and I am playing Maud from the Aramane's bloodline.
Very nice. And with that, I think we can begin our game proper. Starting off with, of course, if I can switch over to the right tab, some music.
Do, 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 do.
Session 10. Our scene first begins with a vision. We see the Isle of Man beneath a heavy, starless sky. We can see the air is thick, carrying the scent of sea salt and ash. In the distance, plumes of smoke curl upwards from the city of Peel, as dark silhouettes against the faint glow of scattered torchlight. bend and curve. The streets seem alive, but not with their usual nightly rhythm. There is a tension, a frantic energy that crackles like a storm waiting to break. Distant shouts rise and fall, muffled by the labyrinthian alleyways, blending with the scrape of hurried footprints. Our vision glides towards the harbor. There, a ship sits anchored in the shadow. Its sails are tattered and frayed. Its wooden hull whispering stories of distant and dangerous waters. We see figures emerge quietly, their movements deliberate yet cloaked in secrecy. We watch as a heavy trunk is lowered onto the dock, its contents obscured, though the faint clink of metal escapes into the further night. Further inland, church bells toll faintly. The sound of distorted and hollow ringing can be heard. We pan once more to the chapel, where faint candlelight flickers through beautiful stained glass windows. Inside, we see a lone figure kneeling in the pews, his head bowed in solemn prayer. We see the figure clutch a rosary tightly, the beads almost straining against trembling fingers. The air around them is heavy, dense, as though something unseen presses down upon them, all while a faint drip echoes down the stone walls. We shift once more, this time to the forest that is on the edge of Peel. Shush. The trees sway uneasily, though the wind itself is still. The shadows seem to move with the undergrowth, faint and fleeting, shapes forming that seem unnatural. An animal's bark pierces the silence, its sound raw and primal, before it is cut off abruptly. Once again, everything is returned to silence. Finally, our vision lands over the city of Peel. We see smoke rising high, clinging to the darkness above, as the shadows seem to stretch towards them, like a hand reaching towards the sky, as we hear a faint voice whisper, "Something stirs, something comes." And with that, we return to the city of Douglas, where our Primogen Council, apparently, have gathered and separated into their own groups to explore the city. Having done so and been off to their own things throughout the nights, they reconvene once more as they prepare themselves for the day's sleep. Sir Oliver, you have finished getting together with Father Sebastian and writing up a proper agreement between both cities. The things that were negotiated during the current night. And yeah, you all are left as you convene together.
Could I during that process negotiated a further addendum to the original agreement?
Depending on what it is, sure.
As we have been named a council of sorts, and they have a council of sorts, I would be hoping that we could list both councils. Therefore, since we are working under a treaty, if a member apply or arrives in either city, that we may acknowledge those people that are on there, so that it is any word from anybody else regarding would not be acceptable. If that makes sense.
I think Sebastian would be willing to agree with that on behalf of the prince, under the condition that they do follow the traditions and present themselves towards the prince of the city. He sees no issue with it.
Absolutely.
And his list of the council is of the members you have met. There are no other names that are added. Do you add any names out of curiosity?
Mr. Morana.
That's a good question, because Ismarana has been raised to the council, but she is not among us.
And I don't know if that was necessarily done with the rest of the council's knowledge.
Yeah, I don't think it was. Yeah,
You guys were there.
we were.
I
I
don't.
thought you were.
I thought you went by yourself.
I
He
assume
came
you
to
would have
us.
informed the rest. No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he came to us. So unless you guys were out, I thought you guys were there.
Indeed.
I believe that that's a good question. Hadn't really
How good's your
considered that.
etiquette?
Well, he put the people that we have met, and I think Oliver would put the people that are here,
Okay.
with that same, keeping them on the same level, right?
All right.
So I think we would just put the group as constructed that is currently in Douglas.
All right. Works well. In that case, it has been agreed upon, and it will be signed uh, tomorrow evening, probably after you guys wake up. But you guys have a brief time to convene and discuss things.
With everything sorted out, and a great thanks indeed to you, Sir Oliver, is there much else we need to do within the city of Douglas? For while peace reigns, there are mysteries that we should get to the bottom of, and I do not believe it appropriate to begin our search while in, shall we say, unfamiliar waters.
As we have come here under the banner of creating peace between our two cities, I would advise it would be inappropriate for us to linger beyond the hospitality limit of the Prince of Douglas.
Would like to, as long as we're here, take a look at any large libraries that might be within the city, especially any Canite maintained libraries, but beyond that, I see no reason to stay.
Fair enough. The bookish types can go on a lookout for that early tomorrow night. I don't quite think Douglas would approve of my style of hunting, and we haven't exactly been given permission to feed. So, an extended stay in any case is a tactical disadvantage, not to mention rude. We'll figure something out.
Right, sir.
Mark, I can't remember. Did the Prince of Douglas, did Atticus say anything about feeding while we're here?
Basically that you may, as long as you don't break any of his rules or cause any problems.
Yeah, I thought he did mention it, so.
Good point.
Mm. Did he? Were those rules simply the same rules of silence and everything that are general to?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's not
Mhm.
like some obfuscated nonsense about like, oh, you
Secret
broke
rule.
this rule that you didn't know about.
Not that you know
The
about.
blood laws of Mithras are
Mm-hmm.
like they're very very good.
Yeah, most of Mithras's laws are around things that don't really apply to you. It's mostly around uh, elders and ensuring that he doesn't have
Mir.
competition. And Tremere.
Of course. Yeah, and Tremere.
Just don't like the
Tremere.
Tremere.
There's always that asterisk to the rules for Tremere.
Welcome.
Yep.
But with that in mind, I think Randolph is probably going to turn in. He will be sleeping alongside the rest of you, not loaming into the soil. But he will find a little area with a large, like the largest view of the space, and then like curl up, corpse-like.
I will add, this is kind of an underground area of the Elysium. A place that's like in the cellar below. There are a number of different rooms, and you were guided to one of them.
Yeah, the coffin didn't have to be carried upstairs. I don't know what you guys were worried about.
No, they had to be
Yeah, they
carried
have to be
downstairs.
carried downstairs.
Yeah. Just
Much
let it
easier.
slide.
Yeah.
Come on.
Uh,
Yep.
I will
No
also add,
problem.
the door's locked from the inside.
That's good.
Hell yeah.
I am doing that.
Mhm.
Oliver, I was wondering if I could have a word with you alone before we retire for the day.
As you wish, my prince.
I unlock the door and reopen it.
Hmm?
So I'm gonna go get something to eat then. All right.
And we
Man.
so we step out, and Gwyneth will turn to Sir Oliver and say, I wanted to thank you for all of your help this evening and your political awareness on this trip. Many thanks for everything that you've done.
It was my pleasure and my honor to serve. We all have our strengths, my friends, and knowing who we were dealing with, I thought it might help us get everything tied up neatly. I'm sorry if I did overstep my bounds.
You had, I would have said something if you had done something I disagreed with. I found everything you did well done, and I appreciate it. Oliver, I know you have certain feelings about positions within the court, and so I wanted to speak with you alone and ask if you would be interested in me appointing you seneschal.
Takes a moment. Eyebrow quirking. My prince, I would always answer your bidding. However, on this, the one request I would have before ever taking such a position is making sure that it has been discussed with Sister Iris first. In political battlegrounds, I am adept, but she has served Peel for much longer than I and some of our people in the city know her much better. I think we're a good team. I just would want to make sure she's at peace with it before ever accepting such a position.
Certainly would want to bring this item to the rest of the council, but I didn't want to do so before I spoke with you. Now that I know your feeling, I think we can address this at a later time.
Well, I will always serve you and Peel, as is my duty, as is my honor. Thank you for considering my feelings.
Of course, Sir Oliver, thank you again for all that you've done on this trip.
My pleasure. You are very welcome.
Let us retire.
Absolutely.
back. Wait, is it locked now? We're like, no.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, he wouldn't lock the door on his friends or the prince.
Oh, I think that'd be a bad idea.
So the door opens, the prince walks in, it gets shut and locked.
Yeah.
Got it.
You're my friend, you big ninny, now get in here. I'm eating your squire, of course we're friends.
Goodness.
By the way, everybody, we've chosen violence this evening.
All right then. I think with that, is there any other conversations that need to be had?
Not on Randolph's part. He's too aware that he's in unfriendly territory with people who have obfuscate, presumably.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the same for Maud.
All right then. In that case,
Now I lay me down to Topper.
yes, you will retire for the morning as the day's sleep takes over. And you all find yourself returning to that dreamless state. At least, most of you would. Aside from one. Gwyneth. In the darkness, as you are focusing, you hear a whisper in your mind. So you would consult with the beast about getting rid of me? That's rather rude, Gwyneth. Rather rude indeed. Don't worry.
I thought he should know of your existence. Did you want to
Oh.
be secret forever?
Well, secrets can have power. But you don't have to worry. I forgive you. At least I will after this. Sleep well. As you fade off into the abyss. And you find yourself racked by horrible, terrible nightmares. Visions of a past you have not lived, and pasts that you have. You hear the tales of a poet speaking of your undoing, laughing, dancing, singing. And it makes you feel sick to your long, dead stomach. The bard is coming for you, Gwyneth. It's only a matter of time before he returns. And then everything will crumble down around you. O King Gwyneth, your doom is at hand. With that, you all spend a point of blood and awaken the next night. For you, Gwyneth, you suffer from the nightmare floor for the rest of this day.
Yeah.
Ooh.
What's that?
I gotta look it up because I don't quite remember what it was. I had it somewhere.
You roll. Yeah, you roll willpower difficulty 8, I believe, or maybe it's 6. And if you fail, then your dice pools are reduced.
In this case, it's an ordered fail because
Yeah.
something is asserting its influence.
In that case, let me specifically get it. Decreasing your dice pools for all actions by 1. So got a -1 to everything.
So you have a -1 for the rest of the night, and the next night you will need to do the willpower roll to see if it continues. After a number of successful rolls, which I'm not going to tell you, it may disappear. There may be other ways to get it to disappear too.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
Ooh, juicy.
This is so much more fun than this system.
Right.
Dun, dun, dun.
With that, you guys all awaken the next night. A question for Gwynedd. Does Gwynedd hold back what they've kind of witnessed, or do they look visibly shaken?
Because we're not in home territory, I think he's gonna do his best to mask.
Alright.
I'm just imagining, like, in the coffin, just, like, taking 5 minutes and pretending that he's still asleep, being like, I'm just punching the coffin
He does
open.
a little yoga.
Little coffin
to calm
yoga.
down. Yep.
Mhm.
Coffin yoga. There's only 2 poses in coffin yoga. There's
Not.
and there's.
If you're
It's
a
not
coward.
true when you're a niece.
Or an
That's true. That's true. The body impolitic can do a lot for your flexibility.
Yeah. You don't want you want to know what's going on in there.
I think rising
yes.
Fangs. Oh, sorry, you go.
Oh, no. I was just.
Fangs extending in morning hunger. Randolph will stand from his half-slumped crouch that he slumbered in, kind of tilting his neck, getting out kinks that have never gone away ever since he was embraced particularly weirdly. No, not like that. Stop looking like that.
I'm not
I mean, when you
doing
can
a
tilt your
damn
neck and
thing.
it cracks. And then he says, right, so library, then we're on the trail again.
You
Actually,
need
we
not
have to.
accompany me to the library. You do not wish to.
I'm not much of a reader, but others here are.
I should like to. It's been a while since I've had new things to study. I can only reread the things in the chapel for so long.
There's
Be
more
nice
than
to have
one
an
library.
updated
Perhaps
encyclopedia.
we should divide and conquer if there's more than one. What do you think, Sister Iris?
I suppose. If that is what you wish.
It's your choice. Just feel we could cover more ground. If there's only one, then of course we shall go together.
Well, if you are looking for something specific and you wish me to look for that as well, I'd be happy to do so and cover more ground, as it were.
I believe you know the portents that we've been hearing of. That is mostly the sort of thing I'm looking for.
I could certainly look into that.
So I think Gwyneth would go to Sebastian. Is that the seneschal for
Yes.
Douglas? And
Mhm.
ask about
Yes.
local libraries of interest.
As you approach him, he kind of smiles. Before he goes, "Oh, yes. I would not say that there are libraries, per se. But, there is a church that does indeed hold a number of, writings. Some, uh, uh, some, theological in nature, others more academic.
It is not unexpected. Do you think that we might be permitted to take a look at some of the manuscripts?
I would be welcome. I would be willing to welcome you there myself, of course. Uh, as one who has looked after the parish for quite some time. Of course, if you would like to do so now, I could very well get things organized. But the prince did want you to get your final signature upon these documents when possible.
Of course. Business first.
Very well then. Shall meet you in the meeting room when you are ready.
Alright. Gwyneth will go to the meeting room.
Alright then. That. We return to the meeting room. Where the prince and his council await. The document sits in the center of the table, as there are quills and ink that have been laid out.
Good evening to all of you. Thank you again for your hospitality.
You are quite welcome, Prince Gwynwood, responds Atticus.
So he'll have a seat and look over the document.
Alright.
Atticus has presumably already done so.
Presumably, yes. Make me a intelligence and law.
Intelligence law?
Either that
What if
or
I don't have
intelligence
law?
seneschal.
Let's see what I have. Gonna be a really fun day of rolls.
I believe in us.
I do have. I think I have it. I don't know. I'll try law.
It should say
And then
Knowledge.
everything is difficulty 8. Is that right?
6 as a base.
It is
But
difficulty
7
6.
for
Yes.
Wait, 7? Why?
because
it
the
shrinks your
nightmares.
pool.
No,
So the-
yeah,
No,
it
that,
lowers
that
the pool.
decreases dice pools by
So it'd have
one.
one less
Oh.
dice.
Got you. I see.
So you'd have
Ooh.
rolled at difficulty 6, which would have gotten 1 success.
One success, and you would have lost the last dice. So yeah, with one success, it seems everything seems above board. You seem to understand most of what it seems to be saying. It really matters on whether or not you trust Sebastian and Sir Oliver, as they were the ones who curated this.
He definitely does. But you know, it's a good idea to read anything before you sign it. And then, does he find the added clause where the council's added? in?
Yes, it has been added at the bottom. It lists it as part of the signature section where it like lists the names. It lists your name and it lists the person's name, and it lists the other ones as kind of signatories, I think would be the term. People who are additionally bound by this clause or by this document.
Yeah, since it's who's here and we're evenly numbered with their council, he's gonna leave it. He's not gonna add in Sister Marana.
Alright. Alright then. With that, do you sign?
Yes.
Alright. As the document is signed, Prince Atticus does the same. Out of curiosity, I was gonna say what language, but I guess that kind of works. Do you write your name in the traditional Welsh way, or do you Anglify it?
That's a tricky question because Welsh was an oral language before the English made it what it is. As traditional a way
would
as
be-
he can. I
Would it
think.
be
Yeah.
Latinized? Might be Latinized first. We'll just say you write your name.
Yep.
You sign with either your name or an X, whichever you plan to do. But the documents are signed. And with that, you are each given a copy to keep. Essentially, you sign the documents twice. And then the prince simply nods and says, "You are welcome within my city for as long as you wish to remain."
We thank you for your hospitality and would like to take a look at a collection of manuscripts this evening, but beyond that, as much as we appreciate the welcome, we must be getting back to Peel.
Very well. I wish you safe travels.
Thank you.
God be with you. And with that,
Damn, cold.
I don't know, man.
Alright.
But yeah, he'll stand up and thank them again and give a little nod bow to Prince Atticus.
Alright. He returns the nod. As you return back to the city, and Father Sebastian follows behind and says, "Well then, if you would like, I'd be happy to take you to the church."
We would very much appreciate that. Thank you.
Who goes to the church? Do you all go along, or do some of you
I
go
was
off
just
to do
about
other
to ask
things?
that too.
Oh, I'm going, absolutely.
Oliver stays back.
Alright.
I think, yeah, with Iris and Gwyneth, I think things are in safe hands, and he trusts Maud and Oliver to take care of themselves in this situation. I think Randolph will stay behind to do some other things.
Alright.
Goodness.
I think that Maud might. I think they still have their mode of transport that they came to the city with, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the
I think
carriage.
Maud would wait. Yeah, the carriage. I think Maud would wait by that and just kind of keep an eye, make sure no one does anything suspicious or messes with it.
Alright. Sounds
Oliver's
good.
plan would be to meet with the Elysium Keeper to get everything collected and ready to head back out on the road, and also have a conversation with them.
Alright. I think with that we will start off with the trip to the church. As Gwynedd and Iris follow along with Father Sebastian as he walks through the city. As he does, you notice a few people paying their reverence towards him, acknowledging him as Father Sebastian, which he seems to return their kind gestures to, every once in a while taking the hand of someone and saying a prayer for them. After a while, it does get a little bit annoying.
I think Iris will do, pay her respects, but in a way that is not, as someone that probably goes through the same thing relatively often, just like a polite bow and, an acknowledgement, but
yes,
nothing tedious.
it's definitely his talking with people does slow down your journey quite a bit. And eventually, you would arrive outside of this large church building, which he pulls out a key to and kind of unlocks the door and steps inside before inviting you in.
So that building specifically is like attached to the church. It's not the church itself.
No, he's letting you through the front doors of the church.
Oh, and the door was locked. Interesting. Is might I ask, is the church not open to everyone?
For quite some time, this church served as a reliquary. There once here was held many old, important parchments and treasures held by the church. Let's say in the time when the Norsemen raiders were more common, they would find places like these as targets. Thus, a little bit of extra security was necessary.
I see. Suppose that is understandable then.
With that, he lets you inside, enter into the main church area before taking you off to a side where there is a smaller room, which he also unlocks the door to. And inside looks to be a number of shelves that within them sit different scrolls. Some of them have books. There also looks to be a couple that are behind glass.
Iris just kind of presses up against it.
They look to be very old, the ones that are behind glass. You can see the age at the corners of the parchments.
Is there any writing that I can make out, like, immediately?
Do you read Latin?
Probably.
There's probably some bits.
Would that be like the...
If you knew how to read.
You would if she's a churchy type, yeah.
You said we could all read.
Of course.
Indeed you did.
I'm just double checking that it was Latin.
Yeah, Latin. Kind of looking over it, it is kind of an older form of Latin. A lot of it seems to be itself musings about Christ, and it also depicts what looks to be this large stone obelisk. And there seems to be some notations around it that refer to it as the eyes of Christ.
Oh. Iris is taking mental notes. I think there's a little bit of an eeriness to it of just Iris kind of pressed up against the glass and just no reflection obfuscating her view of the parchment.
I'd also add he probably is holding a candle to actually give this place light. Otherwise, there's no like wall sconces or anything.
After a while, I think she'll just kind of clear her throat, embarrassed, and apologies.
It is no need to apologize at all. You can look around at what you wish. They have many documents written in many languages. We have some in Greek, French, Latin. We have one that was in Hebrew, I believe.
Really? That's it's incredible. Really should learn more languages.
Yes, well, these have all been collected from all around, really. It was originally brought here with one of the missionaries that sought to evangelize the Aya.
They've done a wonderful job so far.
Indeed.
I'm trying to think what languages Gwyneth would be able to read. Because I feel like lingua franca is really like spoken. It's not
spoken, yeah.
right.
You would need linguistics or linguist as a merit, which you could earn by attempting to learn a new language, but that takes time.
Yeah.
So, I guess he is stuck just looking at the manuscripts that are in English or Welsh,
Yeah.
if there even are any.
Not a lot of them in English or Welsh. The ones that do are more like
Translations.
most of them are actually more addendums, like musings of other texts that seem to refer to other texts that are among here or perhaps are somewhere else.
So what do we roll to look through for anything relevant?
Are you looking for anything in particular, or are you just having a muse, having a squiz, as they say?
I imagine that Iris spends the first like bit of time just in heaven, in a sense, just like, oh my god, there's so much. And she goes like full nerd. It is just like in her element. Until she realizes, right, I was given a mission. Importance. And then we'll look specifically for anything that mentions any of the symbols in the prediction, in the prophecy.
Yes. Make a intelligence plus. Let's go academics.
Right?
Use what languages do you know how to read? Actually, what languages you speak?
I think it's just Latin and English.
Just as a note, it'd probably be Latin and Gaelic because you would be speaking Gaelic on the Isle of Man.
All right, then yes, those two.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yours will be at difficulty 8. If you would like to do the same, Gwynedd, you can, but it will be at difficulty 9.
Boy. Yeah, Gwyneth is gonna look for the same thing as he asked Iris to look for. He's also going to look for anything about like pagan religious practices, rituals. Gonna look for anything about demons, like shadows, occult stuff as well.
I would say this. Are you?
I'm spending.
Oh, go ahead. You go ahead.
I was just gonna mention that I'm gonna spend a willpower on this before I roll.
And for Gwynedd, I'll say this. You can either have two choices. You can either try and find the context you're looking for, or you can find something that's roughly seems to be about it, mostly through like pure perception and trying to like look through things, look through pictures, trying to find something that seems occulty and might manage what you're looking for. The problem is you won't be able to read it. You might be able to translate it through time, but immediately is the problem.
Oh, yeah, sure. We'll scan it.
Alright, in that
And we're
case,
rolling
You will be rolling.
intelligence something.
If you're just scanning, it will be wits and either hearth wisdom or cult. And you can do it at difficulty 7. And do note that you have 1 less dice in your pool because of your nightmares.
Yeah.
Damn.
You guys are such nerds.
Damn.
Yeah.
Alright, so we have 4 successes and 3 successes.
Unless you've got an applicable specialty for that one, in which case that would be
No.
4 as well.
I'm gonna say it's a new.
I don't think so.
In that case, Iris, you find a bunch of writings, actually in Gaelic, by one of the local priests of the island, as they were talking about one of the Vikings that they managed to meet throughout their journeys. Talking about a Viking that came by, who was talking about this jarl or chieftain is what he would write. Someone who had come to this island to conquer it, seemingly in the name of another, but they seemed almost legendary by the way this Viking described him. This being of great power and wrath and strength. However, the priest that's writing about this didn't get the name of the person, so he constantly just refers to him as the sea wolf.
Ugh.
And then
Sounds
he talks about
terrifying.
how he'd heard some stories of locals about being harried by this Viking that came upon them in the nights and would take people away, take their wealth and anything that they could, and then would disappear into the night on longships. In that, there's also, at the very end, some writing of some Norse symbols, some of which match the symbols that you've seen before. Though they seem to be in a different order, or are more copies of just some runes that this priest has learned of through his conversations with some of the Norsemen. I'll also say this, because you got 3 successes.
4. I spent a willpower.
That's right, 4 successes. I will allow you to ask me 2 questions.
Okay. Aside from the runes, is there anything that specifically would stand out to me as being related to the portent itself? Like any parallels that I might see?
There are some musings by the priest about the religions of the Norsemen, about their beliefs and how they believe in an end, this great apocalypse that will come, and how he thinks it's interesting when you compare it to the stories
Rapture.
of the Rapture and the biblical end times. But the priest doesn't put too much stock in it, thinking it's very much a pagans being pagan, and that he thinks that their religion is cruel and unnecessary.
All right. And for my second question,
I will add on to that first question.
Go for it.
He does talk about a place where the Vikings had set up what would be the word? A village? A frontier? Essentially a place where they had set up shop near the center of the island.
Little settlement.
Settlement.
Gotcha. Right. As for the second question, I don't know. Could I come back to it and
Yep,
look over?
absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
Alright. In that case, we will move to Gwynedd. Gwynedd, you are looking through these books, trying to find something that seems to match what you're looking for, something pagan, something occult, something that is not usually focused upon by theologians and priests. And you manage to find an interesting book. Actually, no, this would be more of a scroll that, as you kind of unveil and look into, you see, interestingly enough, a number of pagan symbols, but they are interlaid with Christian symbols, as if they were one or connected. And something about this feels very heretical.
It feels what?
Very
Heretical.
heretical.
Oh, okay. Got it.
The writing you cannot understand. Or you can't read. You may ask me one question that you would like.
Oh wow. I mean, as someone not unfamiliar with the occult, does it look like a sigil or a pattern for a ritual, or
I'd say it
just
certainly looks like a description for a ritual. As you kind
Okay.
of look at it longer, you realize some of these these kind of symbols, are diagrams. They're connected in a way that are almost like code. And you're kind of starting to understand a bit more of it with your occult knowledge. But you would need much more time to try and decipher what it actually says.
Okay. If I recall, one of the merits I gave Gwyneth is an eidetic memory.
That is
Do
true.
you think he could? Do you think he could reproduce this without sitting there and taking down notes in front of Father Sebastian?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Or
Great.
someone with really good occult could look at it.
Yeah, I mean, before we leave, I think he might come over and show it to Sister Iris.
Perfect.
I'm not sure what he would say.
Yeah.
He might just be like, "Look at this!
yeah,
Isn't this interesting?"
Sure. Before that, I suppose my second question might be if there's any mention about what happened to the sea wolf, or anything about vessels.
there are a few mentions of the sea wolves, which are sometimes what the Vikings have been referred to as.
Yes.
There are also a few that reference something about some sort of Norse clan that's name roughly translates to sea wolf. And they originally appeared on the island, but then disappeared.
Could be some fucking sea gangrels. God
It's possible.
Yeah, you take my people's name out of your mouth.
damn.
There's no particular reference to any vessels, though.
Alright.
I mean, other than like,
Interesting.
there were definitely like Nordic longships.
Vessels, as in not mode of
Oh,
transportation.
not
but-
vessels,
but
vessels, but, like,
vessels. But
vessels.
vessels. Aye.
I'd say probably not through the books you're looking at, but as you look to the book that Gwynedd offers you, there is a reference, briefly, to Mary as a vessel of God.
Ha! Ha! Oh no!
However, there's some symbols that shouldn't be there when referring to it. It's as if
Oh,
it's
fuck.
not referring to the Holy Spirit. Or maybe it is. And that's concerning.
What?
You're very much like, this
This
is something
is-
that should not be in a church. This is something that would be
Right.
burned by a church.
This is incredible. And part of me feels that the church has no idea what this is, because if they knew, they would get rid of it. They have no idea what they have.
Is Father Sebastian listening to this?
No,
Or
he's
did
kind of
leave
away.
us the research?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think Iris
Right.
would have the common sense to not say this right.
You
next
have
to-
you have literal common sense. So I would
Yeah, I have
assume
literal common sense. Yeah.
have the merit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Just verifying, I didn't hear if he left the room or not. So
We'll say he's like
Yeah.
he's enough away that he's not being checked.
the church in the habit of getting rid of unusual documents like this.
She laughs, though. It's like a cold, sarcastic laugh when she laughs. Like,
Absolutely. They. Things like this.
and she will point out very specifically the points that seem extremely heretical and blasphemous.
Would easily get the person who holds it destroyed along with the tome itself. If they thought it was something
Yet
they
it is.
believed.
And yet it is here, and we know that Father Sebastian has curated this collection. You think it evaded his notice?
A funny thing about relics and tomes. Not everyone understands the symbolism all the time. Sometimes people see things that aren't there, and other times they just like having pretty old things that make them seem important and don't actually read it themselves. It's been approved, they might not look at it for a good long while. Who knows the last time this
You're
was
saying-
earnestly looked at?
Are you saying they wouldn't notice if it went missing?
Well, I wouldn't say that. And as one of your... I would highly advise you that as one of your first diplomatic forays into another city, that you don't steal a priceless artifact that might not engender good relations going forward.
I don't need to steal it, but that I would
Then
add.
you absolutely shouldn't.
Is there something I can roll for Gwyneth to get a reading on Father Sebastian? Like, obviously we haven't been around him a lot. Like, just to guess if he's the type of person who would, like, have this in his collection and know or not know, and it's here, like, kind of by accident.
Wits empathy. Remember, your dice pool is reduced by 1. It is standard diff.
Boy.
Standard is 7 or 6?
6.
6.
I don't know if that's 1 or 0.
That's
We can
That's
hover
one
over it
success.
and see what the last
Hmm.
one is.
Oh, if you're manually removing dice, you can just go into the roll and do a -1 in the dice modifier.
Oh.
I have no idea how to do that.
That's fine.
Oh,
Yeah.
if you rolled 1 too many dice, ironically that's a 2, because the last dice you rolled was a 1. So it'd make it 2 successes.
Yeah, I don't know how to subtract dice. Sorry, guys.
It's alright.
That's okay.
No worries.
He's all good.
It's under
just do it
modifiers,
manually.
right? For my edification.
That's right.
I
Got
believe
you.
so.
Okay.
You'd put a -1 in there, and that'd automatically subtract it.
Alright. With that, let me do a roll. Okay. As far as you can tell, he seems a busy man. He's constantly doing stuff. Even right now, as you kind of look over to see what he's doing, he's currently cleaning the vestries of the church. It seems as if he's a man that perhaps might have simply missed this when going over the collection. It's also possible he might have kept it intentionally. Though the question is, if he did keep it intentionally, why would he keep it here and not somewhere else a little more secretive?
I mean, the best place to hide something is in plain sight, right? So.
True.
Okay.
That you can build the conclusions you would like from what you have learned.
Well, this seems to be what I've come to find here, and knowing it's here is helpful. If we ever wish to look at it again in the future.
Quite so. Certain if good relationships are kept,
she says pointedly.
it shouldn't be something too difficult to do. Especially if you have a person that would belong in a church. She kind of spreads her hands and does her best to give an earnest smile.
Yes, you are certainly one of those people.
should
And I
hope so.
appreciate your help in this, Mr. Iris. Have you
It's
finished
my
with your
duty to
research?
serve. Hmm. Well, I could stay here for hours and pour over everything, but I wouldn't want to do that on someone else's time.
Well,
Isn't it?
if you wish to stay, I can certainly return to see to the others, and we could collect you on the way out of the city if you wish.
No, I wouldn't want to be any trouble. I can come back the next time that anyone else does. In
True.
whatever capacity that might be.
Well then, let us thank our host for letting us look at this singular collection and
Quite so.
go see the others. I have a feeling Maud and Randolph are eager to be off.
Quite so.
All right. Then.
Excellent.
With that, we will cut back to the group. Starting off with Sir Oliver, as you manage to meet with the keeper of the Douglas Elysium, Eloise DeLune, or Elise DeLune, as she helps you organize everything and get the princes and all of your belongings back onto the carriage.
As they organize and get everything moving, so to speak, he'd look over to her. As per our little discussion last evening, do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Depends on the questions, but all right.
I don't mean any offense. And if you take offense, I understand and will stop. But I'm interested to know a little bit more about you, your history. You said you remind me of somebody, and I'm intrigued, but also curious.
I see. Well, I don't know if there's too much I can say. I was originally from France, before spending quite a bit of my time in Paris. From there, I find myself traveling. Never really found a place that felt comfortable. And I came here. Things have been good here. For the time being, at least. And I hope they last. Other than that, there's not too much to say.
Understood. I agree. I hope that things continue to be well.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, must be odd for you. You are unremarkably like somebody that I once held dear to me, and it is startling. I probably shouldn't dwell on it, but
I see.
I just had to know.
That's understandable. I know as much as anyone that our connections to our past lives are hard to forget.
Thank you for the guess, twice pleasant conversation about it and your understanding and discretion. As I said, I did not mean to offend. I just a connection to a past life that I
Yes,
never
all
thought I would deal with again.
well, all is well in regards to that, so you don't really have to worry. Plus, we might see more of each other if the relationship between the two cities is to held. You're a man who knows
Well,
his words well.
I hope that for both our sakes, that is the way things go. We've made good ground here this past few nights, and hopefully we can continue to grow the relationship and make it better for all of us.
Indeed.
Thank you for all of your assistance.
No problem at all. You are most welcome.
In the future, hopefully, I might be able to visit you on more personal time, but for now, I must make sure that the prince and the council are well tended to and ready to head out upon their return from the church, I believe.
And I shall have to look forward to it. Till then,
Oh.
Sir Oliver.
He'll reach for her hand, just with one, lower his forehead to it.
She would offer
To you
her
as well.
hand. There is a moment of hesitation, but she follows through with it.
Old traditions. He smiles. Fare thee well. And with that,
Indeed.
he'll allow her to go on about her business without bothering her again.
Mm-hmm. I think with that, we cut over directly to Maud, who's like standing like right next to you, not far away, who's watched this whole thing. Maud was watching the the coach, so I assume Maud's like right next to her, and you Oliver turn to see Maud, and there's that moment of, oh, she saw everything.
I've been
Oh,
here the whole time.
I've been here the whole time.
Oliver has no fears about that, actually.
Right.
Sorry, Maud, did that bother you?
Not really.
Good. Well. Very well. He raises an eyebrow, still looking at Maud.
Maud kind of raises an eyebrow back, kind of like glancing in between Oliver and the Toreador Keeper.
Well, we should be ready to move forward when they return. Is there anything you needed?
Not really. I guess I'm just keeping an eye on things.
Much appreciated.
Of
For my
course,
part, anyhow.
it's best none of us are taken off guard or find ourselves taken advantage of.
That we agree.
Right.
I think at which point we will cut. Oh no, go ahead.
Yeah, I
You
think
had
Maud
some-
was literally just gonna say, "I'll leave you to it,"
Okay. Then.
and just
Yeah,
kind of like move away from him, but keep an eye
Yeah.
still.
The quite awkward conversation would continue to be awkward for some time. I am more than sure.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
It's like
absolutely.
the slowest pan out.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like,
I think
are
with
we
that-
good?
Yeah. I think with that we cut over to Randolph to see what he's been up to. I assume he's like patrolling around, keeping an eye on things.
He is. He would like to do one thing proactively, which is, in a relatively discreet way, he would like to either get his own retainer, Rose, or indeed one of the birds of the city, and he would like to send them forth as a kind of advance scout towards the road.
All right, then. In that case, why don't we make a roll for your retainer?
Hell yes. I don't
Uh,
actually have a character sheet
No,
for
we
my bird,
didn't
I don't think.
build her, I don't think. But there are
Don't
stats
think.
in the book, so I'm gonna try and look those
There
up.
are. Under the
Just-
bestiary, I
Yes.
believe. There we go. Large bird. Perception 3, alertness 3.
Okay, so we're talking about 6 dice. This will be. It would be difficulty 8, but we will say we'll cut it down to difficulty. Let's say 6. Keen eyes.
Aye, Rose knows her way around the dark. Bird's eye view without me having to use a discipline. 10, more than 6, F1. Just one success there.
Yes. With one success, Rose returns to you, conveying the information through animalism, that they did not spot anything unusual. But they do have
Yeah.
something for you.
What
In
you
their
got?
claws is a small piece of paper.
You know I don't like it when you talk to other people, Rose. Randolph is going to take the piece of paper and look into it.
As you look into it, it says, in like hushed, harsh-looking Gaelic, if you want to speak, I'm outside the walls.
Well, who am I to refuse such an interesting invitation? Thank you, Rose. Reaching into one of the many folds of his ragged cloak, some bird seed in his hand, he will proffer towards the Gould Raven, a large bird at the best of times and slightly larger with the blood, for him to peck at. And I think he would like to seek this out. He'll probably interrupt the awkward conversation between the two and say, I'll be right back. I'm gonna check outside the walls for something. Maybe get someone to eat. You guys want anything?
Are you able to tag along?
I've been invited to a clandestine meeting. I think it's poor form for other people to appear.
Oh, I see.
seems to be going around. Yes, I'm great. Thank you, Randolph.
But thank you for the offer. Ordinarily I would, but I figure we're in other people's houses. They should be the one to plan the ambushes. I'll see you all shortly, and if not, it's because someone at the North Wall got me. Be right back.
See you shortly.
Farewell.
Alright. Randolph, you
Indeed.
head out towards the forest. Meanwhile,
Indeed.
we will cut back to Maud. Maud, make me a perception alertness. Difficulty 6.
Difficulty 6, perception,
As you're-
alertness.
keeping an eye out for anyone that might be messing with your stuff.
Alright. 5 successes.
Very nice.
Pretty damn good. So as you're kind of looking around, keeping an eye out, you don't spot anyone doing anything untoward, be they mortal or canite. You do see having a bit of a walk around, and also seems to be keeping an eye on both you and Sir Oliver, is... Here we go. The sheriff, who seems to be
course.
keeping a close eye on all of you. You see him kind of
does it-
off in the shadows.
Hmm,
It seems like he's staying out of your direct eyesight, but you managed to, like, clock him.
I see. Does it feel more like keeping an eye as a precaution, or keeping an eye to gain some kind of information?
Perception, empathy, difficulty 8.
Or difficulty 8. Yep. Alright. 2
Nice.
successes. Oh, actually, wait. Let's double check, because actually... Oh, I did have it on empathy, but it was expression. I didn't. I just thought I would double
Yeah.
check that.
Since they're
Nope.
talents, you don't get any negative for not having it.
Yeah.
Nah, fair enough. Just thought I'd check I was able to roll.
Yeah. You just get the general feeling that he's keeping an eye on you. He
Alright.
just seems to be watching you. There's no particular reason for it other than general distrust and suspicion.
Mm-hmm. I think that Maud might, I think, subtly try to make her way over to Oliver before just whispering, "We have eyes on us. Careful what you say and what you do."
There's just a slight nod of acknowledgement, as if it's not surprising to him. And he will lock eyes with Maud as a moment of almost he acknowledges and kind of just silently whispers back, "Thank you." And
Alright.
with that, go ahead.
Alright. I think that we will cut over to Randolph as he makes his way to the outer walls of the city. As you do, you find yourself stepping a little bit away from the walls of the city themselves before you see a figure step out from the bushes with their hands up. As you see a man with wild red hair, a large wild-looking beard, steps forward with a smile on his face as he goes, "I don't mean any..." No, that's not his voice. "I don't mean any threat. You're the one with the raven,
Glad to
right?"
hear it. That's the one. And you're a rare kind of man who carries writing materials with him while traveling in the forest.
Oh, you could never be too prepared.
Something you and I share then. Though I don't think we have each other at too much of a disadvantage. What's your name?
I think we both have the right amount of disadvantage in that case. Names could be dangerous. I don't think there's no need for either of us to spill ours.
True enough. I think Randolph is comfortable in the forest, wary of this person. There's always a period where the beast within sizes up the beast of the other. This person's far too friendly to be no threat. But he tilts his head and says, with that in mind, you're the one who wanted to talk. What about?
Well, mostly that, well, you're not exactly one that I've seen coming into this city very often, which leads me to believe you're probably not a member of it.
You'd be correct. Been keeping an eye on Douglas for a while then, have you?
Ah, as much as anyone. I was just curious, you know, what brings you to here? How far you've been in? Whether you've met any of the important folks?
I've met enough. Yeah, I had a run-in with the sheriff. It went well enough. The both of us lived.
Ah, you've had better relationships with him than I have. I've always found him a bit of a... Oh, what's the word? A dick?
Aye, true enough. There's a delicate art, one supposes, to that. Not one I've mastered, but one fumbles around in the dark enough, you eventually find your way out. But as to your question, my business is my own, but no, I'm not of Douglas.
I thought as much. I was just, as I said, curious. Also, I don't know how to say this in a way that doesn't sound like a brag, but I'm a man who knows things. I'm also a man who knows people. And you seem like a man that knows things. Or, you know, a man-beast thing. Point is,
I'll take it as a compliment.
I think there might be something for us to gain from a quick conversation. If
Men
you're
who know
willing, of
things
course.
and people are quite valuable indeed. I'm sure we can arrange something. We both got something the other want then. But what kind of things and people do you know?
Well, you know, the kind that, aren't too friendly with those who are, arses. You know, those that want to step on others and control them. Much more interested in people that are, you know, a little more interested in, not having a boot up their ass. Or a stick, for that matter.
You want to live freely, live by your own terms, without an elder telling you what to do.
Aye. They also think they could use a right kick up the arse.
Mm. If you can get a kick up their arse, they deserve it. All that
Oh,
power without protecting themselves, the blood's a waste.
that's one way of seeing it. Point is, if you know something about the city's upper arseholes, I might be able to offer something in return.
Well, I'll say I had a run-in with a few, but you've been keeping an eye for a while, and a run-in with some of the upper echelons too. You want names, faces, nasty proclivities?
More the ones that are harder to see. See, I'm great at dealing with those that are a little more obvious, but I'm also not too stupid that I don't understand the idea of cloak and dagger.
Hmm. In that case, I can share one thing, probably one that's a little bit harder to see. His name is Gust, on the Council of Douglas.
Oh. The ugly prick. He's on the
Ugly
council.
prick.
That's good to know.
Now, what kind of things do you know?
I know that there are many like-minded individuals, even those, especially those on the mainland. We got a group together of sorts. Those that are interested in keeping our freedom. I might be able to introduce you to some folk.
Be happy to hear it. Independence is something those, the clan of the beast, prize quite fervently, shall we say.
Aye, I thought as much.
I think he like most of him is hunched over, like kind of in a primal stance, and then as he says, "Yeah, I figured as such." There's a pause, and Randolph does the universal gesture of elaborate.
Eh, you know, when I hear newcomers, up-and-comers on the island, normally you don't hear them taking over a city. But you know, when a big carriage comes through the forests, people tend to talk. Or rather, the beasts do. And they're pretty fucking chatty. More than you'd expect.
They're gossipy bitches, every one of them.
You know what? I think this is probably, maybe the beginning of a great friendship. Or at the very least, a decent partnership.
We can start with partnership. I'm sure we can offer something to the other. Friends are a weakness.
Aye, fair enough. Well, you seem like an upstanding person. At least one that hasn't lied to me yet. But if you do, or if you have, I'm gonna make things very fucking horrible for you. But I digress. Oh, maybe it was kind of a good idea to do introductions. Well, I guess we kind of have done it the other way around. Name's Edmund. Actually, no. The name's Eamon.
Amos. Yes, that's
Eamon.
right. Lovely to
Fucking
meet
knew
you,
it. I fucking knew it
Eamon.
was him.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, Randolph knew this guy was talking about the Fuhrers the moment, so he's like, "Hey, let's keep him talking." But Randolph will say, "Randolph, and Gangrel."
Nice to meet you. Randolph the Gangrel.
Nice to meet you too. If I were to find these like-minded individuals, where would I go?
Nottingham.
Nottingham's on in England, right? Nottingham
England, yeah.
Forest.
That's where you can ask your venture friend of yours.
I'm sure I can do that. Might not like that.
No, I imagine he'd be pretty fucking pissed. And for my own sake, I don't generally go into cities. I find they're normally places that kind of have, you know, people that want me head.
That can happen.
They also have a nasty habit of burning down when I'm there. Still don't know what the fuck that's about. Ugh. Anyway, I should get going.
And the same with me. It's been good meeting you.
Good meeting you too. Hopefully we'll meet again.
I'm sure we will. Looking forward to it.
He grins as he turns around, makes his way off into the forest.
Randolph does too, slinking his way away from the forest into the city. I mean, obviously he's gonna tell the council about this, both councils, because really. But now he knows to look out for the beasts as well. But yes, so he's gonna head back into the city, and presumably tell either the sheriff or Gust that Eamon's keeping an eye on the city, surveying Douglas.
All right, as you return back to the city,
Yes.
you would
Indeed.
return back to your companions, both Maud
Yes.
and Sir Oliver. If you want to speak to them first, or you can go straight to the sheriff, who's not too far away.
Indeed. The clandestine meeting was fruitful, and I made a new friend who will soon become a new enemy.
I see.
His name is. Have you seen the sheriff about?
Yep.
I have. More just kind of smiles and tilts her head back towards where the sheriff was keeping tabs on us.
Standing against a wall, you don't notice him at first.
I learned that Eamon of the Furors was keeping an eye on the city and wanted to meet with
Make
me.
an intelligence
Seems to-
politics first. Difficulty
Oh.
8.
Absolutely. I do have 1 dot of politics. Wait, do I? I don't have any politics.
Oh no!
In that case, intelligence difficulty 9.
Da, 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 da. 0
Randolph does
successes.
not know what the Fioras are. Fioras are.
Yeah, it
More
was
does, though.
mentioned earlier in the last episode.
Was it mentioned?
It was, but it was Mord and Iris, not Randolph.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I
Never
don't think
mind.
Randolph was there for
yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's my mistake. His name is Eamon, associated with a bunch of anti-elder types. Thought that I'd be a like-minded fellow, but the most important thing to note is that he's been keeping an eye on Douglas and an eye on us.
I see.
Well, we should certainly alert our new friends, just out of common courtesy.
Hence
Good
why
idea.
he gestures towards the sheriff lurking.
Yep.
Presumably he overheard. If not,
No, he's
Randolph
too
will
far
go
away.
to speak.
He's just watching you. He's not listening.
Oh, in that case, I'm gonna tell. I'd be eavesdropping. I'll be right back. Have you had any encounters with this man?
That is a good question, storyteller.
Uh,
Because I ran into some weird folk in the prologue, but I can't remember who was what.
I know this. Intelligence and it's probably going to be intelligence, and this is probably just going to be straight intelligence, actually.
Mm-hmm.
That's 2
Oh
dice.
no. Yeah.
And this will be difficulty 7. Difficulty 7.
Red-headed weirdo.
I will. I'll use a willpower. Why not?
All right.
You said 7.
Yep.
One success with willpower.
1 success with the willpower. thinking on it, you think you've seen someone like him before. But the name itself doesn't ring a bell. He may or may not be related to some people you have met in your past. Certainly sounds like he might be, but you don't know.
Judging by your description, you may be part of a larger group. That's something to discuss later.
Yeah.
I,
Because. Oh, yeah, you go.
I was going to say I agree, but I was going to wait to disclose this, but given as he is actively keeping eyes and he spoke to you, I've had a run-in with him before, but it was quite a while ago.
Do it all then.
The conversation was brief, but he made his way onto my farm and went on this whole spiel about the elders, about he used a lot of colorful language, I guess.
Hey, that's him.
I'd say so. The group, the description of it, I think rings a bit of a bell, but I'm not certain. I think that's best discussed in private as well. For now, I think she kind of gestures over her shoulder back to the sheriff.
I'll let him know what's important.
Smart.
And I would actually like to keep an eye out on the sky and such, because I know what I'd do if I had animalism and I wanted to keep an eye on things. I would speak to the rats and I would speak to the birds, and I would use them as, surveillance. I want to see if I can make my way to the sheriff under some kind of cover, at least the wall, maybe.
Alright, you can do so. After your conversation with the birds and the rats. As you make way over him, he kind of looks you and narrows his eyes. What do you want?
You got a problem.
Do
Remember
you?
the council meeting yesterday? No, you've got a problem, not the question.
Yeah. He still says the
I
same
don't
thing.
yet. Indeed, I don't yet. Recalling the meeting we had yesterday, a name was mentioned. I met him right outside the city. Eamon.
Narrows his eyes.
He's been keeping an eye on Douglas, and looking at us as well. He's in the forest right now.
You see him turn and whistle. Loud, piercing one. As you watch, dropping down from the roof is a man. Lands onto the ground and looks up to him and he goes, "Search the forest. Search the forest. Our man might be out there. Report back." He nods. You watch as he scampers up the building, disappearing into the darkness.
Nice. If you don't find him, if you can't catch him, I'll get him for you.
We don't need your help. Why don't you take your counsel? Get out of our city.
I think... Do I run a roll instinct?
Do you?
I don't think I want to. I don't know if Randolph would. I think Randolph tilts his head, looking at this
Is this
gangrel.
something that would anger Randolph in basically telling him to fuck off and that to get his friends and leave?
Yeah, I think it would.
Instinct roll. What's your hunger at?
I'm fine.
Okay, in that case, we're
Over
looking
half.
at difficulty 4, probably, actually. Wouldn't be that high.
Spending a willpower on this because I don't want to have to fight this man just as we're leaving. Spending willpower on this.
Oh
Two
my God.
successes.
2 successes. You feel the hackles of the beast rise as it wants you to tear this man to fucking shreds. But you
Oh
hold.
no, we'll eat him later.
Exactly.
I think eyes flashing with a dark rage and hunger. Randolph will, on his toothy more tight little smile, and say, "See you soon." And
Doesn't
with
say
that,
anything.
he will stalk away.
He just watches you. As the moment where your beast does rise and you look to him, you can see in his eyes just a look of disgust.
Hey, if this guy's a category trader, that's his problem.
And you return back to the group. I will say, as you return back, both Maud and Oliver can see that Randolph is teetering on that knife's edge. There is the look of the beast in his eyes. But it doesn't look like he's out of control. But it's there.
You good?
Fine. Need to kill something. But it can wait.
Are you certain?
Not gonna go off the handle here and now. The beast is my servant, not the other way around.
Then I think
we are all loaded up. We just wait for the prince and Sister Iris, and we shall be on our way.
at which point, the prince and Sister Iris return.
I would say something that I hope didn't apply as a cheeky turn of phrase, but we are here nonetheless.
Is everything prepared?
Yes.
Let us take our leave.
Let's get going before these people's incompetence bungle an operation I could have won by myself.
Inside. Let's go.
Did I miss
Good point.
something,
Wait,
Randall?
no, what's happened?
It's fine,
But
we're
we should,
leaving.
we'll speak on the road.
Yeah, I'll relay what happened. At least my part of it. Randolph can probably explain as well.
I look forward to it.
At this point, we see a scene of you all boarding the carriage and watching as the carriage begins to slowly make its way out of the city. But as we do, our scene stays on the area where you started, where the carriage was, waiting there for a few moments before we see a figure pop into view. The form of Gust waiting there. Interesting. Before he disappears from the scene once more.
Knew
Wait,
it! Fucking naughty
what's
shit.
what's he gonna say? That we were very forthright about things that occurred, and I went immediately to tell him about dangerous things?
That is true. I guess one did say she met him before, but also didn't say anything about aligning with him. It also said go tell the sheriff, so.
With
These
that,
people were very polite till the end there.
it takes you about the rest of the night sleeping for the day inside the carriage, but the next night you then arrive back at your city. It is about an
Can we
hour.
chat in the carriage?
Oh yes, absolutely. You guys can have a carriage scene.
Um, so I'm gonna let Randolph go first once we get far enough away from the city. Tell
I
us his
think
tale of woe.
that like just beneath the surface, behind like rice paper walls, the beast simmers down as Randolph sits after some time thinking through things. And he will say, I sent my familiar out. She returned with a note from a man who wished to meet with me. I went there and I found the criminal that was mentioned in the chat, Eamon. We spoke. He's been keeping an eye on Douglas and on us, and seems to have some anti-elder sensibilities. Which, well, I shan't say. But when I returned to Douglas, though he thought that I was a like-minded spirit, he mentioned that he had a group dedicated around Nottingham, which the mainland fairly far. I went to tell the sheriff, and the sheriff got mouthy.
I imagine that would trigger the connection in Iris's mind to the conversation that we had.
Absolutely.
Oh, you met the Robin.
And a bird.
For you, Sir
Well-
Oliver, the name the Robin sends a trigger in your mind.
Right.
You also know for certain that's not the Robin. You've met the Robin. You haven't met Aiden.
That's thing you're speaking of. It's not the Robin. You see,
Ah,
I've
my
met
mistake.
Robin. However, I do remember running across a group back in the mainland that fits that description.
Well, well, speaking to people at the Elysium, we heard that there was a group of radicals called the Führers that have arrived on the Isle of Man, and that their leader was referred to as the Robin. I only assumed that someone meeting would be someone who calls the shots, unless it's someone masquerading as such.
You met this person, Oliver. Tell us more.
Yes. SD, what do I remember? Because that scene was very short.
Well, you met him briefly in a bigger conversation with a bunch of other people.
Right.
He also is the reason, seemingly, why you're still alive. As during the bit where you were imprisoned, he was there to save you and put you on a boat that led you to the Isle of Man.
You see, I've told you a bit about my history. I wouldn't be here if not for the Robin. Robin had a group of people that fit the description you're speaking of about being against the elders being in control of everything. And as I tried to fight against what my sire would have me do and tried to broker peace, I was left for dead. And I was imprisoned. He set me free and put me on a boat and sent me here.
I see. In struggling against Mithras and the Court of Love, they saw an ally in you, Father Collins.
And he probably had connections with Father Collins.
Well, this is all good information. I think, Randolph, you've done your duty to Douglas by informing them that the man they're looking for is just outside their walls. I believe this ends our obligation unless he shows up in Douglas. He seems to be their problem. As to this other group of people, we have no agreement with Prince Atticus to apprehend them, do anything of some sort, so perhaps we leave the possibility for negotiations open, as they have been kind to Sir Oliver in the past.
I was hoping that Sheriff... What was his name? Sheriff Dafford?
Malaki.
Sure.
Written down.
Oh yeah,
Sheriff
Malaki.
Malarkey.
Malarkey.
I was hoping that Sheriff Malarkey wouldn't live up to his name and would show some more circumspection in the hunt, but it seems he disdains that. Worst case scenario, by informing him and him blundering into the forest like city folk do, we've made an enemy, and for that I would apologize. For the rest, however, if he is as dangerous as the man himself claims, burning down cities, then, well, it's a hunt either way.
I
Yes,
have
I think
to.
until... Go ahead, Sir Oliver.
No, but please, Prince, you first.
I think we have made this promise in our treaty with Douglas to apprehend him and turn him over if he should come within our view. Beyond that, I will leave it to them to take care of him.
In the meantime, standard counter... Oh, sorry, you go, Sir Oliver.
And at the moment, he was neither inside their city nor in ours.
Precisely.
In the
But you
meantime...
did.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
In the meantime, standard countermeasures apply. Whatever you do to hide from me, hide from, let's say, those who control the beasts as well. If he's interested in causing chaos and instability, wouldn't be difficult to do it within Peel.
Do not believe that that is their motivation by definition. If they've truly gone burning cities, it's probably because they were given a reason to. Remember, I don't know what you all know of your sires, but I don't believe any of our sires are here. I do not feel these people are at least my enemy. It's looking for problems when we have other problems to face. It's only going to lead us to having too many enemies and no friends.
There's wisdom in... Sorry, you go.
I think we should do our best to have as little enemies as possible. But
Well said.
I suppose that may be unavoidable depending on how the situation that just happened went, but I suppose we'll deal with it.
My feeling is that Amon was testing you, Randolph, and how much he holds against us for your giving information to the sheriff. I suppose we shall see. As you said, if he's as incompetent as he seems, perhaps it's no threat to Amon to have this news shared.
In regards to Amon as well, I mentioned this to Oliver and Randolph, but I figured I should inform you as well. I had met him once before, quite a few years ago though. Amon.
And what happened?
It was a brief conversation. He mainly went and was talking about his ideals and his perspectives on the elders. I really wasn't interested in hearing him out at the time, so I essentially told him to fuck off.
Seems wise. Well, Sister Iris, should we share what we found in the library?
Yes. And I think there was a small, knitting of her eyebrows as the previous conversation was going. But then the second she thought about the things that she found, she's, I wouldn't exactly say lights up, but she does seem a bit more elevated than usual. Well, we did come across some interesting information. I found some texts that spoke of. You consult my notes. I want to get this right. We found some things that spoke of tales of a jarl who came to the isle to conquer it in the name of another, and something about coming on or around using sea wolves. I suppose that was the type of boats that we used, so it seemed. And there were tales about locals being harried by this great source of wrath and strength. There was no name, but he seemed to do terrible harm to people. He would take people away, and they were never seen again. And then in that same manuscript, I did see some runes that seemed very similar to the ones that Sigurd was writing. Not all of them, but there were certain ones. And then, well, I didn't find it. The prince found this particular book, so if he wishes to speak on that.
Would Iris have shown the runes to Gwyneth?
I imagine that they shared, like, if he gave her the book that he was looking at, she would have
done so if it were possible to do. Like they would have swapsied.
Okay. So I'll say that as Iris is talking about what she found, Gwyneth will have gotten out parchment and charcoal or something, and he's trying to reproduce his ritual, but then when she mentions the runes, he'll start writing down what he remembers of those for Maud to look at.
Maud will take a look at those.
Okay, he'd do that first, and then, yeah.
Maud, from what you can tell...
Was it?
Okay. These runes...
Oh, I was just gonna ask it.
Okay.
Sorry. I was just gonna ask if it was like something that was done actively while Iris was chatting, like if he was talking about trying to reproduce the ritual that was actively something that Iris wasn't talking about while she was talking about things. Like if he was drawing the ritual while she was explaining her findings.
Yeah, but I imagine he didn't get very far, because it was just a couple minutes.
Yeah.
So it's not complete.
But for your information, Maud, from what you can tell of the runes, they are kind of nonsense. Like, a lot of them are things that represent stuff. Like, there's one that represents journey, another one that represents a ship or a long ship of some sort, and another one that represents like wolves. Another one that you think is probably the name of some sort of important person, or runes that are meant to represent some sort of important person.
Yep.
It itself, it would be... I'm trying to think of what the runes are for this specific person, but essentially it seems to be connected to... Actually, no, this is going to be an intelligence academic from anyone who wants to make it.
Hell yeah, I can do that.
I'm not what you would call a book learning guy.
Let's do
You
it.
do need points in academic to be able to make this.
I was too busy learning etiquette. Sorry.
Well,
Oh,
actually, I rolled it with difficulty 7, so I don't know what the difficulty was.
That's probably right anyway. Difficulty 7 anyway.
Yeah.
It's something
7?
you're more likely to know than other people because you're from the Isle of Man. You could know its histories.
Yeah.
Probably the same for you, Iris, as someone from the island. Difficulty 7. For those who are not from the islands, difficulty 8.
Oh shit! 4 successes.
Hey!
Oh, yeah. In a case, both Maud and Iris have heard the tales of Ivar the Boneless. He was the one that conquered the Kingdom of the Isles. He was also the first ruler before complicated Norse history happened, in which different rulers took over, and some points the kingdoms were separated. There was a period of time where it was ruled over by the King of Dublin, or the Jarl of Dublin. But his runes that represent him are mentioned within this document. Seemingly just notes the priest was taking. One of them happened to be the name of an important figure to the Viking he met. Ivar the Boneless was also far before your time. He was 900, I think?
Yeah.
That sounds right. It was around the time of Charlemagne.
Yeah.
I think
Maybe.
it was just after Charlemagne.
You history nerds.
What are these runes? Most of them are... They're not really much. Some of them are nonsense, but the ones that I can discern as having a meaning.
Specifically, it is Ivar, son of Ragnar, aka Ragnarsson.
Ragnarsson! Ragnar!
Bark, bark.
Yes. But there are some that have a meaning. She kind of gesture to the specific runes as she describes that specific one. A journey,
Hmm.
ship or boat of some kind. Wolves.
Yes.
And there's one for Ivar the Boneless.
Oh, you're right. I did. Fuck.
Are you all right, Iris?
I'm fine. I thought I saw a spider, but it was just a little feather.
There, I'm hungry.
uh, of course, I didn't realize it before, but yes, you're right. It is.
I would put his runes in the vault.
Ragnarsson.
That would be for Ivar.
Ooh! Let's
Ooh.
go.
Very
I'll
nice.
put that in my note.
Hell yeah.
Who's that?
I would assume that that's the one that was. that these texts are referring to. The one that people. that was stealing people away in the night.
The one who disappeared.
Possibly. He took their people along with their wealth and
I think
would those connections kind of fire for the very like the term Robin and the tale that is, or would that just be a bit too modern of an interpretation?
Yeah, it might be a bit too modern. Again, the stories of Robin Hood don't appear for another
Okay,
100
in that case.
something.
Know any Vikings who give to the poor either.
I will say-
You know what
exactly.
I'm saying?
Yeah,
It
In-
could be a Disney-fied version.
I think
of
it's
it.
more. I think it's more than the case that Robin, as a character, is a reference to Robin Hood, rather than
yes.
the other way
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, makes sense.
From a meta-textual standpoint.
Got you. Yeah.
Well, let us hope
Hmm.
that this Ivar was simply a powerful Kine, and whatever happened to him is the inevitability of what happens to Kine through time. Either way, it's good to have a name just in case, because there is a power in names.
Oh, the boneless. That's certainly a strange way to refer to people. Some people who are slippery.
Does
Very interesting.
further research, I grant you.
Right so. I'd be interested to learn more.
Is that a project you would enjoy indulging in, Sister Iris?
I wouldn't say no to it. I enjoy spending time in quiet meditations and researches. I'm not certain what we have in our own church, but could scour the tomes in my free time. Not like I don't already do that, but I'd have a purpose instead of just
Direction.
pouring.
I'd help. I'd
Hmm.
also be worth consulting our Tremere about. They have all sorts of records of things. Of course, you don't have to do that, but I'm saying in general.
Of course.
He does need to prove useful to us, and information is one way he can do that.
If that's
Before
what
the-
you wish.
Before the talk of the runes began, there was another thing that was going to be mentioned. What was it?
Oh.
The
Go-
scroll that I found, I believe, which I couldn't read, but it does have and describe a particular ritual and something one would not expect to find in a church. But I should mention, and I wanted to speak to Iris about this after we left the city. You did note that the church was locked, which is quite unusual, even in my experience. And I think this might be why,
Right,
or one of the reasons why. At any
possibly.
rate, what did the word say again? Something about Virgin Mary.
I don't. Yes. Uh, that there was a possibility that a Mary was used as a vessel for the Christ, but not one that was referred to, sort of like the opposite, a demon of some sort. Possibly. What? I'll kill you.
Right.
Yes, to a very particular ritual.
Indeed.
Something to do with a vessel.
The symbols that referred to it as referencing Mary as a vessel of God, but probably not the Holy Spirit. But maybe not.
Someone has hidden non-Christian symbols with Christian symbols, which is interesting. So, I thought I would reproduce it so we could have a closer look at it. I shall do that um, as I can. It's a bit complicated. Was there anything you were going to say about it, Randolph?
Just one. This isn't the only thing relevant to our search that has been hidden. The stories we've heard of great battles, of Prince Atticus's sire, of a battle that no one can remember, people scattering, and in the chaos and the furor, Father Collins stepping out. Something, and not just the sands of time, have gone to great efforts to hide what has occurred. And I mean no disrespect to your clan, Sir Oliver. Ventru love lineage and they love history. To simply say, we don't know what happened to him when he was leading an army. Something's been eating memory. Something's been hiding things from us, and nothing hides from me for long.
You need to consider something, Randolph, when you speak. Don't worry about disrespecting my clan. I have no use for them. I simply deal with them as is necessary to achieve our objectives.
I understand. I figured I might as well say, just in case.
I don't consider myself one of them, but be clanless is not going to help our cause at all.
True enough. But I believe this ritual, something that was hidden in a fashion, though perhaps a different way, will be very useful for further examination. That kind of thing, if Sister Iris and my prince, you cannot figure out amongst yourself is the kind of thing I would recommend passing off to the mere loath as I am to see it. But I have another request. This of both you, my prince, and you, Maud. To speak to the spirits and to speak to the land, to look for ancient battlegrounds, to look for that which is forgotten, that where many dead lie. That is where I think we might be able to find something interesting.
Yes, I think when we have less problems, that could be something to look into.
Very good
Certainly.
point.
I'll look into
I
that.
will say, my own instinct is not to, especially not to share this with the Tremere, because they do love, dipping their hands in things they shouldn't, and I don't think we need to be creating vessels if that is what this is for.
That's very true.
Right, so
There is more. Sorry, Maud, were you going to say something?
I was just going to agree. I would just say that I think that Tremere in particular, as well as any of them honestly, I think they jump at the chance to try and make that ritual happen.
I agree. Well, there is a bit more. But first, I think I'd like to take a detour to some council business. I spoke with Sir Oliver last night about making a new appointment in the court, and he suggested I bring it to all of you first, and especially get the reaction of Sister Iris. And so, after Sir Oliver's performance in Douglas, I would like to appoint him Seneschal. What is your feeling on this?
I think if that is something that you feel is in the best interest of the city of Peel, then that is certainly your choice to make,
Hey, Iris.
my prince.
Self-control.
Mhm. Thank
Difficulty
you.
6.
What's this weird alien thinking?
Oh, can I get a empathy check on that, ST?
Sure.
Ooh.
This would be
Yeah.
perception empathy from you. I can tell you, if
Boy.
it's a failure, it will be very obvious.
Oh yeah.
But that'll be
Uh,
a 5 dice from you, Sir Oliver. Difficulty, difficulty 7.
Sorry, and what was the self-control difficulty?
Difficulty
6.
6.
Perfect. Thank you.
I know what the beast looks like. It looks like that.
Sir Oliver, although you got 0 successes, this is so obvious you don't even need a success.
So as that, go ahead. I'll let you finish and I'll
it's
speak.
specifically as Iris finishes my prince. Iris, you feel a sudden desire to cause everything to fall into shadow, to destroy everything, to summon up the very darkness of the abyss, to break open this carriage and punish those who have defied your true power. You can, however, spend a point of willpower to resist for a round.
Shit.
And
Ah.
at the point that I need to backtrack just a hair
Mm-hmm.
because when the prince spoke, Oliver's true intention was that he believes that Sister Iris would be a more suitable candidate,
Mhm.
and at the mention, specifically, my prince, I said that we need to make sure Sister Iris agrees because she is probably a better qualified candidate, as she knows the city and its people better than I do.
Iris,
And
would you like to spend a
I
point of willpower, or are you going to tear
Yep.
Sir Oliver apart?
I'm going to spend a point of willpower, but there's probably just like a single little bit of shadow that wavers around
Oh
her.
no, there is the shadows
Okay.
of this of inside the carriage begin to turn and shift, and everyone can see in Iris's eyes is fucking murder. And right now, Sir Oliver, it's pointed at you because you just spoke up.
Yep.
But
This is beast
yeah,
time.
she's-
Everyone
Now,
out of
for a
indeed.
round, everyone has some time to say what they do next. After which, Iris, I'm going to need you to make another self-control roll, this time at difficulty
Alright.
7. Actually,
Everyone out of the carriage, Maud, you're on deck.
no, you don't
I
get to
think-
make another roll. You get to
no.
be faced with a choice
Well-
next round. But yes,
Alright.
everyone say their
Oliver-
actions. For now, Iris, you are standing still.
Alright.
I
I
think-
did want to say that I'm spending that point of willpower.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Essentially, you'll need to do it each
Oliver's
round
stand-
until either the thing of your rage is gone or is broken. Go ahead.
So
sir.
you
Go
guys say
ahead.
what you're gonna do because
Yeah.
Randolph is very reactively looking to everyone else.
Mhm.
Yes.
I'll
I
say
think-
first up, Drew. What are you doing?
Yes.
As the shadows envelop everything, Oliver would stand, hands open, but move in front of the prince.
All right. Next up, let's do Prince Gwynedd. What are you doing? At this point, you watch as Oliver stands up and gets in front of you.
Gwyneth is actually super calm. And I think he is. His heart's probably packed away. I think he's gonna actually start to sing. Like, if this was 5e, he would be doing like calm emotions.
Mm-hmm.
But what he's doing is like very like soothing in the background, and in a way, he's probably gesturing with his hands. Like, you might not know if he's
You're a little hard to hear right now. I think it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, your
you might
mic
not
is.
know if he's Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You might not know if he's like starting to cast a spell or like use a discipline,
Mhm.
but that's kind of what he's doing right now.
Okay. Good to know. Mort, how are you reacted to all of this? You can see that Iris is about to lose it.
I think especially after what she recently experienced herself, I think her first instinct in this instance is to attempt to grapple and restrain Iris.
Okay. And Randolph, you said you had an idea of what you were doing.
The first thing that he said was everybody out, nobody went out. That's fine. Nobody listens to me. I
I hear him say that. Shit, my bad.
no, yeah, he straight up said because that's the best way.
I think it's because it's
second-
you what you say during this is everybody out, but everyone hasn't
Yeah,
had time to react to your
exactly.
words yet.
Indeed. This is an extended roll, so it might not be that effective. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe Song of Serenity, because if I use it effectively, it gives you an additional roll to resist frenzy, which could be pretty handy. So
Sounds really good.
I'm gonna make a roll. That roll
I
is
believe it
3 dice at difficulty 7, requiring successes equal to your willpower dots. What's that at right now? Oh, actually, you might not need to tell me. If Mark, you can get that as a separate number.
So repeat that to me again. Is it current willpower or
I
total
need
willpower?
current willpower.
Is your current willpower what I think it is? Rebecca?
Mine
Yeah.
would be.
Is it updated on your sheet?
It's on my sheet, yes.
Alright, then I'll double check that. Because I don't know if the token thing I added has been updated, because it operates in a different
It
thing.
might not have been.
Okay, yeah, no. So what was the first of all, is it permanent or temporary?
Temporary.
Okay, and what was the bonus? Or what was the
Not
thing you needed?
not a bonus. I need to roll manipulation plus intimidation or manipulation plus empathy. I think they're relatively similar at
Okay.
difficulty 7, equal to the successes.
Okay.
It would have been better had people left, but if they're not, we're in this together. It'd be much easier if I didn't like Iris.
Okay, so that's your first action, correct? That's what you're doing.
Indeed.
All right, let's do that because that's a
so-
mechanical thing, and then we
Indeed.
will because we have Mort is grappling Iris. It succeeds because Iris is not resisting or can't resist for this round. However, there probably will be a contested roll if something bad happens. And Gwynedd, are you activating an ability specifically, or are you just doing what you're singing?
Not yet, but
Okay.
when he hears Randolph say, everybody out, I think he will. He's not scrambling, but
Okay.
also looking like his harp isn't here. He's gonna like very calmly like step outside
Okay.
and probably even if the carriage is still moving, like walk beside it and like try to get his.
Yeah, I think it's very much you
keys.
open the door and go to step out as your first kind of thing. As Sir Oliver gets in between you, the doorway, and Iris. As Randolph, I'm gonna need you to make that roll. Do you need a difficulty?
No, difficulty 7. I'm gonna
Okay.
make a willpower. I'm gonna add a willpower to this and see
Okay.
how it goes. I don't
It's
know
just
what I
number
have
of
to get.
successes equal to her willpower.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's an
Oh.
extended roll.
Oh my god.
That well, yeah. We're gonna see how this goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how much current willpower you got. So, this
As
is
well,
this
you
is the
shouldn't.
best I have.
Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah, let's fucking
I
go.
am spending a willpower on doing this, so
Yep.
let's see how it goes.
Oh.
2 successes.
2 successes towards the total. With that,
He's using empathy, so I think he locks eyes, and instead of the like deep-seated control of dominate, he's looking into the beast with bestial eyes and kind of going, "This isn't the time. You'll kill your owner."
at this point, we jump into the second round. Iris, would you like to spend a point of willpower to keep holding off the beast?
Yes.
All right, spend a point of willpower.
Oh shit! It's blood bowl. There we go.
Everyone else gets an action.
Everybody leave.
Yep. Gwynedd, you fully step out of the carriage. Maud, you're currently holding on to Iris. Would you like to change that to try and leave, or are you going to stay holding on to her?
I think she locks eyes with Randolph. And I think she will retract her grip from Iris, and will go to leave as well. But before she lets go fully, she'll say just to Iris. Not sure if she can even hear her at the moment. Fight back against it. Your beast. And she'll go to leave as well, trusting what Randolph is currently trying to do.
Alright then. With that, Oliver, what do you do?
Oh god, I hate Oliver so much right now.
Oh no!
Yeah, he's not gonna.
Because he can't. His path, he cannot
Damn it.
leave this moment.
If you did, it would be a path roll.
He will not take. Yeah, and it's pretty. It's a pretty low. Like. I think Oliver maintains his form, and then he'll even bend down to a knee and kneel in front of her, stating, "This was not my wish, and I did not accept it." That's his turn.
Alright.
My turn is, because the object of her anger is still there, to make that roll again.
Yep.
Because without the frenzy happening harmlessly, I think there's one moment where the eye contact is broken and he turns with wild eyes towards Sir Oliver before returning, focusing deeply on Iris. Every willpower you spend means this gets a little bit easier. I'm on 2 successes at the moment.
Yep.
Don't.
Spending another willpower to see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
3 successes.
Three.
I'm at
Three
5.
successes. You're at 5. You focus in on your power on Iris, doing your best to push the beast back into its place, to cow it suitably, so it is no longer a threat. But it is not over yet.
No,
At this point, Maud and Gwyneth, you have exited the carriage. Sir Oliver, you're still within the carriage.
Actually,
Oh, go ahead.
no, would Maud have been able to fully exit on her turn?
By
or
the
if
next round, you would be able to.
Because I think if she sees Oliver staying, she would not exit.
All right then. You stay as
Yeah.
well. In that case, we move to the next round. Iris, would you like to spend another point of willpower to stay in control and hold back the beast? Actually, hold on.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct. Just to double check something. All right. With that, Randolph, you get another roll, and all I have to say is
Hang
don't
on.
botch.
Hang on just a little bit longer. You're among friends. You're smarter than your beast. You're stronger than it.
I know Iris can't move, but can she
Yeah.
say anything?
You can kind of.
Or is
I
that
think
is it just
you can kind of like literally. I imagine it's literally like spitting out the words, and it's not completely coherent, but it's it's just...
Protect here for so long. Helped so long. He doesn't. He doesn't.
I am going to make this roll. I'm going to spend another willpower. I myself am running low, but with you spending the willpower to resist, hopefully that means that we're close. 1 success.
1 success.
6.
With all the points of willpower that have been spent, you meet the DC, and Iris, you feel the beast recede, and you are once more in control.
Hey, hey. Like calming down a skittish horse or an angry, fearful dog, he's going to reach out, and if she will allow him, kind of put a uncharacteristically gentle hand on her shoulder.
I think there's a moment where she like recoils at just affectionate touch, but realizing that the eyes are unfocused and slowly just coming back in, pupils wide, like from an adrenaline rush. I almost don't seem to recognize you at first, but when the touch lands firmly, she focuses, sees you, and I'm so sorry. Turns to Oliver. I'm so sorry.
Wasn't you? You did your best.
Oliver.
It was the beast.
Oliver stands. You have nothing to be sorry for. And with that, he exits the carriage and tries to catch up to Gwyneth.
I
Gwyneth.
think
Gwyneth is there. I think, he's probably close enough to hear that this was a success. And he is. The whole situation is so ridiculous to him, especially after what he went through last night. Like, not like this is ridiculous, but just the juxtaposition of everything that's happening. I think he just bursts out laughing, and he's actually like to the lurking demon, like, are you not entertained? You know what I mean? So yeah. That's what
So
Gwyneth
Oliver,
is doing.
you just see Gwyneth talking out into nothingness and laughing.
Yeah.
Seeing this, Oliver would approach.
It's a gesture.
Prince, I will not accept the position of Seneschal. And if you force me to take it, I will simply resign and leave your city. That person in there cares more about your city than any of us. Pause another
Oliver,
work.
I would not force you to do anything. Please know that.
Very well. I will continue to serve the court as you see fit, but understand, I'm here to help. I need no title. And with that, he'll simply stop walking, letting the carriage kind of go on about its way a little bit before. I mean, obviously, he'll keep up as best he can and get back in before the sun comes up, but that is it.
Mhm.
He is done with everybody right now.
Valid. Ooh.
What do you mean? I was the one who could have solved this. Everyone should have left. It'd been fine. In character and outwardly, he says, "Don't be ashamed. We all lose control at some point. You did your best to hold on, and it's because of that people, healthy and heal."
I'm supposed to be better than that. I've done such a good job holding on to who I am. I haven't been as tested as I've been in 100 years as I have in this past week or two.
Moment of weakness doesn't change that. You're still you. still the you that you've built up all those years since your embrace.
This wasn't my only moment of weakness. I killed that stag I took from a man I didn't know was deserving of it. I've made choices. And for what?
To live another night.
I don't feel the same way. I don't think he cares about what I can do for him.
Prince,
I spent so long looking after the city, and it feels like he doesn't care a lick about me. The moment I named him Prince, he's done nothing but shove me to the side. Not even acknowledge anything that I've done. Everywhere I look, it's, good job, Sir Oliver. Great work, Randolph.
do you want to hear a little secret? Everyone feels that way one time or another, especially if it actually happens. But that little voice in your head, the one that says that you're worthless, that nobody cares, the prince doesn't care, that is the beast at its most cunning and its most subtle. Prince isn't a fool. He values you. You're a good woman. You're a fine kindred.
Thank you. I suppose I've just been spoiled. And the lack of something once held in abundance seems darker by contrast. I don't feel that I need a title. I just want to
be
know that I'm
valued.
respected. Yes. I want to matter to somebody. To not feel like I'm going to be thrown away again. Sorry.
Not gonna be. Don't apologize. Maud can handle the nice stuff better than I can, but I know the beast. It wants you alone. It wants you neglected. It likes it when you feed into that, and I know that well. Just know this. You're valued. You're our friend. And you do good work.
Thank you. Thank you. You're
I'm gonna
a
step
good
away.
friend
I'm sorry.
too. You're a good friend too.
I got a reputation to maintain, don't say that.
Don't worry, I won't tell the rest. Be our secret. But in all
I'm busy.
seriousness, of course you are, Maud. I would never. And I think she kind of reaches out for your, hand or something. But just in the same way that I think Iris realizes she's, and it's just a very gentle, like, inch or so in her direction. Like, it could just look like a spreading of the hands gesture. But
I think Maud would reach down and kind of like firmly grasp her hand. You do matter, Iris.
thank you.
I know how it feels as well to lose control, though I didn't really do as good a job at holding it back. 'Cause, 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 These are good.
Thank you.
I'm not good.
I'm sorry, you go.
I might not be good at talking, but I can listen if you need an ear.
I'd like that. I've missed our little walks amongst the wildflowers.
Randolph, in
Me?
this moment, you feel a connection to someone you used to be, to something you used to be. And something about that strains against your current self.
Ugh.
This is a pointless act. Sure, it's for a comrade, but what do you get out of it? What does the beast get out of it? This is pointless. This is a waste of your time. Or is it? I need you to make a conviction roll for me. Difficulty
Absolutely.
7. It would be 5, but as it's a difficulty 5 sin, I believe.
Indeed. Let's do this.
Oh,
I can't
God, I'm
spend a willpower on
shaking.
this, so we're just making it happen.
Right?
One success.
Oh, yes.
I know exactly what I get out of this. I get my allies continuing to be healthy and to work together in a fashion. I think he's kind of like reattributing his own actions in a more calculating lens. He's like, yes, I am a bastard. This is all part of the plan.
And
I
the
know the
beast
beast
within
better than
agrees.
anyone. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think he's like, yes, I did this all so that we'd continue the pack to have cohesion, because if we separate, then we die, but if we stick together, it's good. And I think Randolph, like this kind of strange labyrinthine mental gymnastics going through his head, he's gonna say, I'm gonna leave the both of you to it. Everything should be fine. I'm gonna give you two some space.
Alright. Which kind of shrugs.
And yes, Randolph too will step out. Cause like Randolph's not upset with anyone in this situation, and he understands, strange alien that Sir Oliver is, he couldn't step away from a conflict. Everyone has their own ways of dealing with the beast. It's just Randolph is the best at it in his own
Yours
mind.
is correct.
And with that,
Yours is the correct way.
yeah. Indeed, it is the correct way. Like everyone's being strange aliens about it, but like Gwynedd had a good idea, Maud had a good idea, so Oliver had to do what he did to resist the beast on his own. I think Randolph makes sure that everyone's okay. Going, we all right to continue, or should we pause for now, clear the air?
Is it safe to pause, do you think?
A few places safe anywhere. We could probably continue, and it would be best to. Staying in one
I
place.
think it's a vulnerable situation for us to be out here, so should likely continue.
Let's
You
walk
agree?
alongside the carriage while it continues for a short while.
All right.
I'll say with this, you carry on your journey, and then eventually it comes time for you to sleep. But then your journey continues. Relative silence. Gwynedd, could you quickly roll me a willpower check at difficulty of 7, was it?
It's 6.
6, difficulty of 6. So roll your current willpower, difficulty 6.
I spent so much willpower, you guys.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, right?
Ah,
I'm sorry, guys.
it's not your fault.
Like, so to roll
Don't worry.
willpower,
It's not your fault at
You
just
all.
go
clicking on
into
temp willpower?
yes, that's the one.
Yes.
What am I doing?
Yes.
I don't know
Temporal
if I
power.
can. Right. And I'm not sure how to take away a dice, but apparently I'm doing that. So.
You don't have to on this
You
one.
don't have to for this one. This is to see if you have to take away a dice for the rest of the night.
Alright.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, you are plagued by horrific nightmares. And you wake up the next day even more frustrated and kind of upset than the night before, and everything you experienced. It's just shit upon shit piled up on top of each other, and you're stuck right in the middle of it.
Oh
But
boy.
you all arrive back in the city. As you
Oh, yeah.
return to the council room, before you
No,
enter,
exactly.
you are informed by Stuart Anders that a guest is awaiting for you.
Of
There's
course.
someone who arrived this night and wished to speak with you, and barged their way into your meeting chamber without another word.
Barge their way in, have they?
I
Did
could not
no
stop
one
them.
we
They
knew
seemed,
before?
not that I know of, he was quite a unusual creature.
I don't think it's wise that I address this at this time. I'll let the rest of you take care of it, and I'll join you shortly.
As you will, my prince. Sir Oliver, let's indeed. Let's all greet this impolite guest.
As you step inside, you see a figure. Let me get his description ready. The first thing you notice is a squat-looking man, kind of stands to the side of the door as you open it. At least he looks squat for a moment before you realize that he seems to have a curved spine and this massive hump. That is covered by this kind of shawl that covers almost his entire body. But you can see when he brings out his hand and arm is horribly disfigured. As he seems to speak out towards you and goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the Lord of the Lord of Bags of Silver, of the Hanged Prophet. No, actually, I'd say the Hanged Apostle. Introducing my Lord, Lord Judas." Standing there is a figure of bright, almost bright white ivory skin. Their entire complexion is almost as if it was carved from ivory itself. Hold on, let me get the exact stuff for it.
Sword alabaster, I presume.
Okay. He is tall, lanky, and regal. His arms are thin and extended, tipped at the end with massive claws that hang down his side. He is covered in what first looks to be a cloak of white that has the eerie texture of skin and flesh. before you realize it is his skin and flesh connecting to his neck. His eyes are mismatched in both size and color. One is a glimmering icy blue, while the other is an unnerving black void. Upon his head sits a crown of white, curved horns, small and asymmetrical, but spiraling around. He also hangs from his waist, hooking into what looks to be a bit of his skin, a blood-red lantern that seems to glow faintly. He turns around with a horrific smile, revealing thousands of needle-like teeth, as he says, "Good to meet you all. I am Judas of Clan Zumitsi." And we're going to end the session there.
Indeed.
Oh my god, no fucking way. Of course he's a fucking Tsumitsu.
With
Well,
that,
I mean, there are only two other things he could be with a description like that.
Yeah, oh god.
with that,
Whoa.
we're going to say our goodbyes. And hope, first of all, I hope people who have enjoyed watching enjoy it, whether on the YouTube and stuff like that. So let's start our goodbyes in the opposite order to which we started. Mars, you go first.
Goodbye, I am Mars, and I played a Maud from the Aramane's bloodline. Pain and suffering.
Yeah. Next up, Thomas, give us your outro.
Hello, I have been Thomas, and I have been playing Randolph, who both Randolph and his beast agree has the best beast.
This beast.
All right. Next up, our enigmatic prince, Blue. Give us your outro.
Everybody, I have been Blue. I don't know if Gwyneth is that enigmatic. It's about to go down. I have so much willpower, you guys.
Oh.
It's not a problem. I have so much willpower. This
I'll just say
will be
quickly, that's
fine.
the image for
Don't worry.
Judas.
Yeah.
Ah!
Ugh.
I love him.
Crown of Horns
Yikes.
would suit you well.
But yes, next
Yes,
up,
moving on.
Drew, say your goodbyes for us. Give us your outro.
Hi, everybody. I've been Drew. I've been playing Sir Oliver. Hopefully that continues for a while. We'll see how that goes.
All right, and last but certainly not least, our poor little shadowy Meow Meow. Rebecca, give us your outro.
Oopsie doops. Farewell. I have been well, I am Iris. Wait, no, I am Rebecca. The lines, they're blurring. Oh my god, the trauma. I'll kill all of you. I have been Rebecca. I was I was playing Sister Iris, and boy, did things come to a head that have been bubbling under. But we got out of it okay, because, oh boy, again, willpower's great. Willpower's great. Best skill. But yeah, good scenes, good app, good eggs.
All right. And I have been me, Mark, aka the Storyteller, aka the CatsMeow, and you have been watching the CatsMeow Show. I hope you've enjoyed our episode of Isle of the Damned, episode 10, and I hope you join us for more later down the line. We do have quite the backlog, if this is the first one you're watching. And the fixed audio version of episode 8 shall be up tomorrow, and this episode shall be up the day after that on the YouTube channel.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and I hope you've enjoyed our little game of horrific monsters, and hope you join us for next week as we get to learn more about this mysterious Zemitzi. Until then, beware the creatures of the night. You never know what might sneak up to you, and especially what they might hold for the future. But not just the people you care about, but all within this world of darkness. Good night.
Good night.
Farewell.